I'm here to talk to you about how we don't see things and yet they're there. When you were small, didn't you ever look up to the stars at night, to the vast expanse of our universe, and wonder what lay up there? What is in the bleak darkness of existence? I sure have, but most people don't care about what lies up in front of them unless it involves food or money. There's so much we don't notice and there's so much we don't think about in our daily lives. But the truth of the matter is, there's so much in our universe that we don't see. In the 1800s, there lived a writer called Jules Verne. He came from France and wrote a number of science fiction books. Many of you might have read them, such as 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or A Trip to the Moon. At Jules Verne's time, things like space travel or air conditioning were considered a matter of science fiction. But 100 years later, on July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong was the first man to land on the moon. And yet, 100 years before, this was considered something that could not be achieved. Think about all the science fiction we have now, all the sci-fi movies that have been made. What will become of them in 100 years? If you draw a stick figure with a pencil, and if you're good at arts, but you don't have to be, the stick figure only has two dimensions, height and width. We have a third dimension, depth. I'm three-dimensional, you are three-dimensional. With the stick figure, we can manipulate it in various ways that could not be imagined. We are the creators of the stick figure's universe. It does not know that we created it, but we did. We can manipulate the world in various ways that it cannot understand. But there is scientific evidence that there might be other dimensions. There's a fourth dimension, which is known as time. For fourth dimensional beings, time would be as solid as this jacket that I'm wearing. They could manipulate it or go through it like an object. We can't process this in our three-dimensional brains, but it could be possible. They could be higher dimensions, fourth, fifth, or sixth dimensions. Imagine that. This is an example of what a fourth dimensional being would look like. As you can see, our three-dimensional universe is seen as a form of a comic strip. The fourth dimensional being could change it, it could alter it, or it could just look at it, but we couldn't see it. In this room, there might be a fourth dimensional being watching us, and we don't even know it. There's so much we just don't realize. Another thing I'm going to talk about, which is a bit far-fetched, is known as aliens. Right now you're thinking, huh? Those are just things you watched as little kids. They can't be real. But think about this. Our galaxy alone holds about 100 billion stars, each with their own planets. And there are about, 100 billion galaxies in our universe, and that's just the ones we know about. There might be more that we don't realize. So in all that, why couldn't there be life somewhere else? And it couldn't necessarily have to be like life on Earth. You see, when scientists look for aliens, they look on planets that have Earth-like conditions. But aliens might have evolved in different ways, where they don't need water or oxygen. Why haven't the aliens come? This is what the Fermi paradox tells us. The Fermi paradox basically says that if aliens exist, why haven't they contacted us? Maybe they have. Maybe they don't understand us. Maybe the government are hiding them. Maybe Area 51 exists. These are all possible theories. Maybe one day, I believe, we'll come into contact with them. And we might learn fantastic new things, as shown in this comic. They might know much more about our universe than we do. Our universe is huge. And that's just the distance we know about. It's at least 13.7 billion light years across. For those of you who don't understand, it would take a beam of light, 13.7 billion years to go across our observable universe. And that's just the ones we know about. There might be multiple universes. There might be other Earths. There might be a different reality where I'm talking, but I'm different, in a completely different reality. There's so much we don't see. But some of these things can actually help us solve our problems on Earth. Like the problem of alternative energy. We are exhausting our planet's resources. We're using up oil and gas, and we're releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. There's some alternative energies that can be found in the universe, like dark matter or just solar energy. But the problem with those is that they just might, destroy our planet. But that's not a big deal. No, it's not so. The thing is, we as human beings think we've come so far, but in reality, we've only scratched the surface of what we can accomplish. Even research shows that we might only be using 10% of our brain capacity. If we could use more than that, we could do amazing things. Maybe move things with our mind or understand complex situations better. We just need to start looking beyond the horizon. There are so many things that we don't see. Thank you for listening.